Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fruitful Trees, and it's a beautiful sunny morning here in South Florida, and I am sitting in between two of the most sought-after mangoes in the world, and they're newer, so a lot of people don't know of them, but the people that know them say they're the best. So this one here is a pineapple pleasure mango, and this one here is a sweet tart. Now, a lot of people have their own favorite mangoes, and taste is subjective, so it's not always everyone's going to be in agreement. But it seems like everyone's in agreement with these two mangoes that they are the best of the best. Well, I wanted to get Alex on the show from Tropical Acres Farms, who has over 300 different varieties of mangoes on his farm alone, and he's tasted many more varieties, to find out what are his best varieties, his favorite varieties, and the growing habits of those particular ones. And we recently did a Q&A, and someone asked in that Q&A, what is his favorite variety and what other mangoes compare to it. So he was talking about the Sweet Tart and the Ceci Love, which is similar to Sweet Tart, but not as disease prone to it. So we spoke about that. And then somebody asked him what are the top vigorous trees that he would suggest somebody have it. So this video today is about Alex from Tropical Acres Farms and his favorite mangoes. So put your comments and questions below, and here it goes. What is your favorite mango?
My favorite mango is Sweet Tart. A lot of people, by the way, will answer that question by saying it's the one in my hand or whatever. I feel that's a cop-out. I do have a favorite mango. I grow 300 of them, but my favorite mango is Sweet Tart. I mean, now at any given moment, I can list off a bunch that are my favorites, you know, in my top 10 or 20 or whatever. But Sweet Tart is pretty consistently my number one. It is not my favorite tree. And if I could do it all over again, I would have planted a lot less of them. I didn't even plant a Sweet Tart in my backyard, for perspective. But it is my favorite mango. It is extremely consistent, one of the best, really complex. I just love it.
So. How close in flavor is Ceci Love to Sweet Tart? And are your Ceci Love trees less vigorous and more manageable than Sweet Tart?
Yeah, so I'll answer the second part first. Absolutely. Ceci Love is a totally different growth habit than Sweet Tart. Less vigorous, doesn't flush as frequently. It's more of a spreading habit, and it's more compact. Sweet Tart's definitely more vertically oriented, more vigorous, more likely to skip a year. Doesn't start fruiting as young of an age as Ceci Love. In terms of the flavor, I would say prior to this last year, our Ceci Love fruit had tasted very similar to Sweet Tart. Like almost you would have issues trying to distinguish them next to one another if you were tasting them. This last year was the first time I ever had Ceci Loves that tasted a little closer to the zinc mango, which is probably one of its parents. So, but prior experience would suggest that it's pretty similar to Sweet Tart. Pretty similar. In a very good way, because Sweet Tart is an awesome mango, and Ceci Love's incredible. Ceci Love is one of the best hybrids that came out of Gary's breeding project. I mean, some people might disagree or whatever, but if you like that Indo-Chinese hybrid flavor, you're going to love Ceci Love. It's wonderful. So.
Question: what are your top 5 low/medium vigor trees and top 5 high vigor trees that are powdery mildew and BBS resistant?
Oh, that's a lot of requirements there, right? Okay. Low and medium vigor, right? Or no, low and high. Was it low and high vigor?
What are your top 5 low, medium vigor trees and your top 5 high vigor trees that are powdery mildew and BBS resistant?
Okay, low vigor, Pickering for sure. Pickering is resistant to everything, including powdery mildew. That doesn't mean it can't get it. It just means it's resistant, so it doesn't get as much of it. Fairchild, low vigor tree. They're small trees. They don't get much powdery mildew or anthracnose or BBS. They don't get BBS. So that's another one. Honeykiss, very low vigor tree for the most part. Does not have issues with powdery mildew for us at all. Totally resistant to BBS. So that's 3 right there that are low vigor. Angie, very resistant to powdery mildew, very resistant to bacterial spot, very manageable tree. I'm going to be leaving out some others. There's one that we grow called Saigon that's very impressive in terms of its disease resistance and very dwarf. It's David Fairchild's original Saigon, supposedly. We tried to promote that a little bit. I think that's a very interesting dwarfish variety that's resistant to that stuff. Sassy Love, very compact tree, and we've got 4 of them. Very resistant to powdery mildew and bacterial black spot. So that's a great one in terms of size of the tree and disease resistance. I'll name a couple high vigor ones because that was included. Sunrise, very resistant to a lot of stuff, including powdery mildew and BBBS. Valencia Pride. Valencia Pride handles the diseases real well. It's a very vigorous tree. CAC kind of gets powdery mildew, but it's very resistant to bacterial spot. Usually the powdery mildew on CAC doesn't destroy its crop the way it can on some other cultivars. Anyway, very vigorous tree. What else is resistant to bacterial spot and powdery mildew and is a high vigor variety? I know I'm going to leave stuff out here. ST Maui is super vigorous. Doesn't do too bad on any of the diseases, at least not powdery mildew and bacterial spot. No, that's what's coming to mind right now. So, so I listed a few there.
Yeah, I know you told me, and I don't know, Duncan, right? You told me that. So
Duncan's not super vigorous. That's like a moderate to low vigor tree, actually. So that would maybe go on the list, except that it's a little more vigorous than the ones that I mentioned. I think it's probably similar vigor level to Angie. Duncan is extremely disease resistant. It's resistant to pretty much everything. Even when it gets powdery mildew, it sets so much fruit, it doesn't matter. So although we do try to control the powdery mildew on it, it doesn't really get bacterial spot. Very anthracnose resistant. So if you're inland, Duncan is a good performer and a good choice if you like the Philippine type flavor, which is what it has, Philippine flavor.
Sure. Okay. If you could plant 5 mango cultivars in your yard just for your consumption, what would they be?
Well, good question. I think I'd probably want them all to be different flavor groups. So I'd probably avoid redundancy with flavor. And I like stuff that I don't have to, if for whatever reason I can't spray it or whatever, I'm not going to have it skip years or something like that. I think I'd plant Pickering for classic flavor. I'd probably plant Angie. I mean, I have planted it in my yard for Indian Alfonso flavor. For citrus flavor, I'd plant Orange Sherbet. And for coconut flavor, I'd probably plant Sugarloaf or M4. I don't know. That's a tough toss up there. Well, let's see. Indo-Chinese, I would probably plant Sassy Love or CAC. Sassy Love's a smaller tree, though. So, ironically enough, I don't have a Sassy Love tree in my backyard because I didn't have any that I could plant when I planted them. But that gives you 5 flavor groups, and it gives you a relatively extended season just by virtue of the fact that those don't all have identical seasons. So, off the top of my head, there's 5 right there that you would consider. If you want a bigger tree, then when I said CAC or Sassy Love, then I would plant the CAC. So, depends on what you're trying to achieve with size. But I like trees to be kind of smaller. I did plant a CAC tree in my backyard though, so I'm really high on that mango too.
Okay, everybody, there it was. That was Alex from Tropical Acres Farms, and these are 2 of his favorite trees. He called them collector's items. At least he called the Pineapple Pleasure collector item. But these trees are not easy to find. A lot of people don't know of them. There are a few places that do have them, but Alex is definitely one of the places that has them. I recommend you go to the link below this video. If you want to get one of these trees, contact Alex. Even if he doesn't have them in stock, he'll graft one for you. And so definitely go to the link below and check it out. And I've tasted both of these mangoes. I personally like the Pineapple Pleasure. better than the sweet tart, but I've tasted many mangoes a couple of times that I was so on, and then tasting it again, I was like, wow, and vice versa. So not only is taste subjective, but when you're getting the mango throughout the season, uh, if it was really rainy outside, the mango might not taste as good. And eating the mango at the perfect time and perfectly picked is going to make a big difference as well. So there's other factors, but Alex has all those different varieties on his farm, 300 different varieties, and he's tasted these at various points in the stages, and these are two of his favorite tasting ones. Put your comments and questions below. What are your favorite mangoes? And thank you, Alex, for being on the show today. And we look forward to hearing more from you, Alex. Contact him at the link below. And if you're interested in seeing other varieties of mangoes, he has a big giant list of all the varieties that he has on his farm. So you can check that out. All right, everybody. Until then, have a great day and keep growing.